And appreciate everyone today for jumping on in a warm Friday afternoon, Friday morning. So it definitely, we didn't have it much spring. It was always wet, and then summer came with a vengeance. So here we are. So appreciate everyone getting on. Again, this is the Small Business Development Centers, Meet the Lenders. It's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about our lending community and how they're able to support small businesses, because the lending landscape for small businesses can be oftentimes confusing, especially depending on where you're at in terms of your experience as a business owner. So that's why we have these to regularly be able to kind of showcase quality lenders and the different types of lending that's out there to really help you understand that. Of course, at the Small Business Development Center, our job is at no cost to be able to provide that assistance, to be able to provide that guidance for you, to be able to navigate and determine what lending platform or lending makes the most sense for you. And then also, of course, to be able to put together all the documentation you need to be able to effectively apply for and secure a loan. So we appreciate all of our panelists for getting on today. We have a couple of guests at the start to be able to kind of talk about different things. So we will go ahead and start with Lucy. I see she had a little bit of technology issues. Let's readmit her. You back on, Lucy?
I'm back on. Sorry about that. I'm
It's
ready
okay.
to go.
It's all right. This is your cue.
Here I go. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm Lucy Montgomery from your district office of the Small Business Administration. And we're happy to report that the SBA is now celebrating 70 years of aiding, counseling, assisting, and protecting small businesses. So we love small businesses at the SBA. Over these 70 years, many now large businesses in San Diego took the first step, the step you're taking today, to meet with the SBA and our resource partners. So we wanted to say that bit just to encourage you to be here, to learn this information, and to continue taking those risks that need to be taken to be an entrepreneur. New for the SBA is, at the SBA, we believe your heritage is your strength. Your individual story is your strength. And we want you to know that if you prefer, you can get SBA information in a language that you're comfortable with. Go to sba.gov and get it all translated however you like. So why are we here today? We're here, with all respect to Jerry Maguire, to show you the money. I'm a huge Jerry Maguire fan, as you guys might know. How can the SBA help show you the money? First, SBA back loans, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Number two, help with private investing. Number three, research and development awarded funds. And number four, the SBA can help you with surety bonds. So many people ask right now about sharks and angels. That's like really popular two pieces. But today we're talking about loans. And I wanted to give one reason why a business may prefer a loan to an equity investment. And that is because you don't have to give up equity, meaning you do not have to give up ownership or control when you take a loan. So that's one reason you may prefer a loan. How do SBA guarantee loans work? What many people don't understand, and what I'm here to clarify, is that the SBA actually works in the background. So we're back office administration of these loans. You don't call our office, and we don't do the underwriting for an SBA business loan. We ask you to speak to a lending partner. They loan directly to you and then straight to your small business. The SBA guarantees a portion of the loan with taxpayer funds, and we do that so that there can be competitive terms, lower down payments, flexible overhead requirements, and that we can add our counseling and education. And one benefit of this is that maybe you aren't able to get traditional funding from your bank. Perhaps using the SBA loan guarantee can help you qualify where you wouldn't qualify otherwise. You can use an SBA-backed loan for just about anything in your business: launch, grow, repair, start, purchase, access revolving credit, purchase or renovate, Pretty much anything, a purchase, real estate or land. And I'll go through quickly the types of loans. If you're purchasing real estate for your small business, owner occupied, you would use a 504 loan. Our flagship loan is a 7A loan. And those can be made up of community advantage loans or international trade loans. Or if you want a loan of under 50,000, that would be in our micro loan category. We do have a list of lenders in each one of these categories right on our website, the San Diego District Office, and I'll give that at the end. One thing that I mentioned, and it was in the little, that I didn't mention, but which is in the little gray rain cloud, which we don't see much in San Diego, but we do have our share of disasters. The biggest, and probably what you know SBA for, has been COVID, but we also lend for wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, straight line winds, and other declared disasters. If you did receive a disaster loan during COVID, an economic injury disaster loan for your business, it is time to repay, very likely. Please get on this lending portal, log in, lending.sba.gov, make an account. Every day, this system is getting better and better and easier for you to make your payments. If you need help, please just take a photo real quick of this number or reach out to me and I'll give it to you. The SBA does have an online loan system called Lender Match where we match you with the lender. But I'm going to tell you, and you're going to learn from this seminar, that maybe that's not the best course. It's available if you're the sort of person that wants to do it on your own in the middle of the night. But for the next couple of minutes, you'll see maybe that going straight online without talking to a resource might not be the best approach. You can increase your chances in our research at the SBA exponentially by working with one of our resource partners, and you've met one today, which is your SBDC, your award-winning SBDC, which is our regional award-winning center of excellence. So keep that in mind that you're in very good hands meeting with these resource partners at the SBDC. Having a business plan, expense sheets, financial statements, and frankly, just knowing how much money you need for your business is something you can talk to an advisor about and be very helpful to securing a loan. The SBA does have 1,400 partner organizations that help with business counseling. And I'm highlighting for you today the person who put the group that put on this seminar, and that is the SBDC. In San Diego, your list of resources is pretty broad. We have the Veterans Business Outreach Center, SCORE volunteers, the Women's Business Center, and then again, your SBDC, which has multiple offices right here in San Diego, and just a fleet of knowledgeable professionals that can help you. And again, these professionals award-winning. We stand by them, we trust them, and they are a shining star at the SBA. Thank you so much, and please reach out to us. There's our website. We are active on Twitter. If there is an emergency, please make sure that you're subscribed to us so that you can get information. Thank you so much, Danny. Sorry about the technical, but I'm all back.
No problem, Lucy. I appreciate you always being able to get on and talk about it. The SBA local district office is a small but mighty team. They are absolutely there to help. They're fantastic partners of ours, and as we continue to support small businesses. Next, our other special guest is Brett from the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce to talk in general about chambers of commerce and how they support businesses. So go ahead, Brett.
Thank you, Danny. Again, I'll be brief today, but wanted to share with you all the value your local Chamber of Commerce brings. I know you guys are coming from all over the county. There's 43 chambers of commerce in San Diego County. So pretty much whatever community you're in, there's one there, and each one's a little different because it reflects the character of its community. But in general, one of the biggest assets your chamber could bring to you as a new or emerging business is its relationship capital. We are all about connecting people. And of course, each business is a little different. So how that looks varies, but whether you're looking to make connections for leads, referrals, or you're looking for connections on providers for your own business, printers, tax consultants, et cetera, et cetera. And then on a bigger level, your chamber's very involved in advocacy work. So sometimes that's on a high level, like at Sacramento, we do a ton of advocacy for small businesses. But that comes all the way down to your local level, where you might be having difficulties with a permit issue with your local jurisdiction, for a sign or for getting occupancy or whatever the case might be. And we are engaged in all those levels. And, at your local level, I hope you don't need it, but when you do, you're really glad you have your local chamber, because we know who to push and prod and poke and move things along so that you can get on with the business of doing business, which of course is what you're all about. I mentioned there's 43 chambers. Of course, the biggest chamber in the county is the San Diego Regional Chamber, and they cover the entire county in one way or another. We're up here in North County. We are the largest chamber in North County, and happy to help anybody who might have some needs up here. I will put my contact info and LinkedIn in the chat here before I exit, in case anybody wants to reach out and just ask questions, or has any kind of thoughts that they want to share. But I really encourage you to get involved. Chambers are much more than just happy hours and passing business cards. We're all about championing our local communities, convening leaders from all disciplines of life, and then sparking the economy in our local areas and in our region. And so that's kind of the big mission and overall goal of Chambers of Commerce. We partner with fantastic organizations like the SBDC and like the SBA and others. And so we like to we connect dots. So thank you, Danny, for having me. I'll be really brief and then let you guys get on with the content today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you getting on. Obviously, the small business support is really an ecosystem, and we really do all work together to be able to support. And so now we're going to be able to meet and talk to some different lenders that are also there to be able to work with you. And truly all of them have small business as a particular passion for themselves. And so we have Luis from Founders First. We have Janelle from Chase Bank. We have Gustavo from Civic Community Partners. And we have Miriam, of course, from CDC Small Business Finance. So why don't you all go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then we can go ahead and be able to kind of talk a little bit about the lending that you do. Why don't we start with you, Janelle?
Hi, thanks. I had just a little trouble getting unmuted. Yes, hi, I'm Janelle Shalou. I'm a business relationship manager here at Chase Bank. We do loans from 5,000 up to, in my group, up to 20 million, as long as you qualify for that. We're really active in the community. Chase has really been promoting and aggressively going after, lender or clients in underserved communities to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to apply for a loan and get funding. So we're really happy to be a part of the SBDC and to continue our community involvement.
Fantastic. And Luis?
Sure. My name is Luis Gutierrez Prieto, and I'm with Founders First Capital. We like to see yourself like the entity, the financial entity between the seed funds and the VC funds. We help with working capital from all the way from $50,000 to a couple $1 million if you qualify. And the beauty about it is we don't ask for equity from your business. I don't think you're ready for give equity, and we don't ask for collateral. That's separated from a regular bank loan. And we have this great product that is called revenue-based financing. That, to make a long story short, is your payment is based on your revenue. So if you have a low month and your revenue goes down, then your payment goes down as well. So that's a great tool. And the bottom line is we want you to succeed. If you don't succeed, we don't succeed either. So that's me.
Fantastic. And Miriam?
Hi, I'm Miriam with CDC Small Business Finance. And we are a nonprofit lender. We've been around for 40 plus years. And we actually are part of Momentous, which is part of Capital Impact. So together we actually have 80 years of experience. So a lot of experience in a lot of different ways. And our mission is to be able to help any business owners that are not meeting traditional requirements. So if you get a no from a bank, Chase, Wells Fargo, or a small community bank, then we're a good option. We do about 50% of our loans are for startup businesses. So that's a lot of our specialty. We also do acquisitions and existing business owners that just don't quite qualify for one reason or another at a traditional bank. And so, yeah, our loans go from anywhere from 10,000 to 350,000 in my department. Then we have commercial real estate. We do SBA loans, and we have some other products as well. But our loans also can go in the 20 million to 30 million range for commercial real estate as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Gustavo.
Thank you. By way of background, Civic Community Partners, everyone, is a nonprofit CDFI. It stands for Community Development Financial Institution. And basically, it's a nonprofit, non-depository bank, if you will, or lender, since we don't take deposits. We have a program called Building Business Success. It's specifically geared for financing, providing working capital for minority business-owned or entities that own their small business, obviously making less than maybe $1 million, have less than 100 employees, if you will. The focus of our lending is to ensure that you can fulfill the contracts that you're winning. We're not necessarily FICO driven, so what we're focusing on is more on the relationship of contracts that you have from a B2B type perspective, business to business. And so again, we don't necessarily focus on a score, but more on, the capacity for repayment. And like what you've heard before from some of my peers, we too lend from about $50,000 to $500,000. And I look forward to sharing more about our program. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. Fantastic. So I want to talk a little bit more about the types of small businesses that fit within your organization. So this may be, industry types that fit, a little bit better, time in business that fit a little bit better, and some of the things that like a business owner would want to make sure they're reflecting on before they're working with you. Why don't we go ahead and start with you, Luis, on that?
Sure. We like to illustrate the tech business and the pharma business, and pretty much the software as a service business kind of thing. We like the business to business or business to consumer. And that's pretty much where we are right now, but we are getting open to some other industries and some other type of customers. And we are very careful in the kind of business that we like to get into, because like I say, we don't take collateral, we don't take equity. So we base our decision to help you with working capital only in the business model and the future revenues. And so we like the industries that we can predict the revenues, and those are the easiest one. And the business that we like is a couple with 2 years on business will be good for us. But something very important that I would like to point is, if your business is not profitable yet, we don't care. As long as your sales are growing, then and have a good, healthy path, then we will help you with working capital.
Fantastic. Thanks, Luis. And Miriam, what about you?
Well, as far as in industries, we're pretty open to most industries. The three, I guess, main industries we're not open to because we're an SBA lender and just because it doesn't fit with our mission would be anything in the adult industry, anything marijuana related. And then also we don't do trucking. So we don't do transportation trucks. We do other vehicles for other types of businesses, but not transportation. So we do refer those to a trusted partner opportunity fund. They actually focus on trucks as transportation and helping startup business owners. So they're a good resource that we use for that, and they do it really well. But other than that, we help every other industry. We're very open-minded. The way that we do our underwriting is really seeing if it makes sense. And the best way to say it is really what we're looking for is cash flow. We don't have a minimum credit score requirement. You don't have to collateralize, so you don't have to own a home or a vehicle to get a loan with us. So what we're looking for really is to see if you have the ability to repay the loan that you're requesting. So we're always going to look at you at your business, and we're going to look at, even if you're a startup business owner, then we're going to be looking at your business plan and projections that hopefully you have worked with the small business development with before you come to me. And then, so we're going to be looking at you personally and your business, whether you're a startup or an existing business owner. And we're just looking to make sure that personally you can pay your personal bills without our loan. So when we look at your income and your debt on your credit report, that, makes sense. And then business wise as well, we want to make sure if we're going to give you a loan, we're being responsible and you can afford the monthly payment. I would say that kind of covers like the industry and what we do and don't do. I had mentioned before that we help startup businesses, a lot of them, about half of them. We, believe it or not, we still do a lot of restaurants, construction. So some other more traditional lenders might shy away from those, but we're completely open to helping in those industries. So yeah, I think that covers it.
Fantastic. And Janelle, what about at Chase?
At Chase, we're a historical lender, so we do look at 1 to 2 years of historical financials. So we'd be asking for, tax returns, P&L, and balance sheet. We are very good and very competitive rate-wise. If you do fit within those parameters, very similar to Miriam, we don't do anything involved with the adult industry. Cannabis, anything that would cause reputational risk for the bank. But we are open to meeting with you and discussing what we're able to do. We can start with a loan under $250,000. If you have top tier credit, we're able to do it without financials. So that's a new program that we've been pushing. Anything less than $500,000, we're asking for 1-year business and 1-year personal tax returns. And again, it's based on your personal credit as well. We prefer, obviously, collateralized loans. So we'd be looking for something that we could grab a hold of, accounts receivables. Once you start getting into any loans over, say, $250,000, $100,000, we can waive the UCC filings, which is, securing the accounts receivables. So we are making some great strides in getting more people qualified that we weren't able to do before. It's sort of ironic, now that everybody else seems to be tightening up, Chase seems to be loosening the financial strings a little bit and trying to make it easier for our clients to get approved for loans.
Fantastic. Thanks, Janelle. And Gustavo at Civic.
Thank you, Danny. Well, similar to what Miriam and Janelle just mentioned, we too don't get involved in like the adult or adult entertainment or sinful business. From time to time, we also lend to, I would say we lend to nonprofits all the time, especially those that are interested in real estate development, kind of a sweet spot for us. But like I mentioned before, our Building Business Success program is really based on in any industry that is fulfilling a contract. Because of the nature of who we are, who we were in helping the city do development, we do a lot of community development lending, and our small business Building Business Success program was primarily set up to help the construction industry, the businesses that obviously do electrical work or construction type work, real estate facilities type work, but not necessarily only for that now. So if someone today got a contract with the airport authority or a school district or a water authority, some anchor institution, to fulfill some contract, we would look at that from a relationship building. The capacity to repay is strong. So again, we mentioned that we don't do FICO driven underwriting. Obviously, we don't want to have anybody with a recent blemish, serious blemish like a bankruptcy or a mechanics lien. But we do pull up credit just to kind of see how you're doing, but we're not based on, oh, you have a score of X and therefore we do or do not lend to you. It's more on the capacity for repayment. And I would also just add, we don't necessarily finance the operations of restaurants. However, we will do the tenant improvement for restaurants, if that makes sense. So we're not necessarily a working capital line of money for, making a restaurant operate. So, and our monies can be used for anything to procure and fulfill a contract. So if you need materials, you need skill force, like workmanship of expertise, staff, equipment, vehicles. So I think that's pretty broad, and we're happy to explore any opportunity that comes to Civic. Thanks, Dan.
Fantastic. So the next question I have is, as small businesses are thinking about getting capital, realizing they need capital, wondering if they need capital, or in generally preparing themselves, knowing that that could come down, what are like 2 or 3 tips that you would particularly give them as they're thinking about this and kind of getting ready for that? Why don't we start with you, Janelle?
I would suggest if you're thinking about doing a loan, especially from a commercial bank, I would first of all look at your credit. Make sure go to the credit report. Make sure you don't have anything in there that is derogatory. If you do, I would clean it up. I would also make sure your financials are in order so that you have a current tax returns completed. And really understand what you want the money for. So when you come to me and you have, the credit, you have the financials, you come to me and say, I need $100,000, and for what the purpose is, because I need to go back to the underwriter. I need to talk with them about the loan and why you're doing the loan and why we should do the loan. And the other thing I would say is, when you're dealing with the initial conversation, be upfront and candid about your situation. So I know the whole story. It's very frustrating and difficult to get a loan approved if there's things that come up after, and I'm trying to mitigate, some, derogatory credit or something, where if I had been able to get in front of it, I could have had an explanation and it would have worked out better for the borrower.
Fantastic. And Miriam, what about you? What are some tips?
Yeah, some tips I would say, all sorts of tips, but I would say like the 4 most important tips are something that Janelle mentioned is be 100% honest. In San Diego, we're fortunate enough to be a very tight-knit group of people who care about small business owners. I know other counties are not like that, but we really work with each other. We're not about just working with the client. We're about what's best for the client. So don't be afraid to tell us if you have a bankruptcy, if you had a recent late, if you had, your car, you have a huge charge off because you had a car accident. I mean, don't be afraid to explain all of those nitty gritty details because they're super important to us. If you have a judgment, a tax lien, I mean, just be completely transparent and honest because we will let you know if we can help you. Or someone would say, absolutely, no, I can't. Let me send you to Miriam. Or I would say, hey, let me send you to Opportunity Fund, or let me send you to Accessity, So we're always working together to help find a solution for you. And then honestly, I have to really encourage you guys to work with the Small Business Development Center. They have some excellent people I have been working with for about almost 6 years that are their specialty is not just business advising, but financing. And so they just really, really help you find the right lender. They do a lot of that work, for you. I mean, we're all happy to talk with you, and it's great to have a conversation with, whomever you feel you might be a good match with right here on the panel. But ultimately, the Small Business Development Center, I mean, I just can't tell you the difference in the, with my help and with their help, your rate of approval really goes up, and just the efficiency of it. So that's a big recommendation as well. Another thing is definitely if you're going to have a conversation with me or even someone at the Small Business Development Center, try to know, exactly what your business is about. So like at least one sentence or two, well defining your business. Also know, what loan amount you potentially need and specifically what you need it for. I'm not asking for projections when you come to me. I'm just asking that you at least know, hey, Miriam, I want to hire a new employee. And then also I need some money to continue to operate my business while I expand, and I need marketing. I mean, just some simple bullet points really make a difference for us to be able to know if we can or can't help you. And that's the point. I always tell my clients, I don't want to waste your time. That's why I ask, let's have an initial conversation before you apply online. Let's have a quick conversation, 15, 20 minutes to see if I can help you. So it's just important that you guys be, again, honest and use your resources, whether it's us or the Small Business Development Center. It really will save you time and a lot of times heartache, right? So if you go apply to 5 different lenders and you get declined by everybody, that's really heartbreaking, and it kind of does not good things to your credit. So, use your resources for sure.
Fantastic. Thanks, Miriam. And Luis, what are some of the tips and advice you would give small businesses as they're preparing for capital?
I would say the first and most important is what kind of capital you want. What's your business size and what your business is ready to get into. Is your business ready and is willing to go to a regular bank with a regular loan? Are you willing and okay with collateral? Some of the lenders, they may ask you for your house or property, and do you have it? You don't have it. You're willing to put it. That's, and how much do you need? So I think you have to double click in your business the characteristic. What is the loan that you are ready to get? Once you know that, then I think most important, and the entrepreneurs, I think, is the most difficult part for the entrepreneur, is get your financials in order. We don't care if, like I say, if you're profitable or not yet, but if you have a healthy and good and understandable financials, and the financials tell us a good story of growing, then we are just ready to help you with working capital. And I, like Miriam said, maybe if I'm not a perfect fit for you, I will know someone in the industry, because we know it's a tiny group in the industry. So if I'm not ready to help you, someone that I know will. So I'm going to direct it to someone else. So that will be my my 2 cents. What kind of credit do you want? Who is the right company or entity to get into? And the financials in order, that's a plus. So that will be my 2 cents.
Fantastic. Gustavo, what are some of your tips?
Thanks, Danny. It's obviously very similar to my peers here, but I would definitely emphasize to have your financials in order. When most people who are in a hurry to get money for their companies aren't necessarily ready from a paperwork perspective. You heard from us saying about the tax returns and the financials. Nothing could be worse where you need the cash fairly soon, and you slow your own process down because you don't have all your financial information ready, from a procurement schedule, from a real estate schedule, depending if that's what you're doing, from a real estate financing, or your tax returns, your quarterly financials. These are things that I think most of us would collect. And so to have those ready is important just from an efficiency standpoint, so that you can get a quick yes or a quick no, as opposed to, now we need this and now we need that. And that just kind of slows the process down for yourself. I think Miriam said about the honesty in an application. Sometimes, if you, omit some information tends to percolate to the top eventually. And then you have to, explain what the cause was, what the issue was. So, to be ready means to have a complete application, including your financials. And then, we heard about the SBDC, and I know this is a sponsored call by the SBDC, but in true honesty, the capacity of training is phenomenal. Many different types of training, because we deal in the procurement type of financing. I think it would be great if, someone who's interested in getting a contract with, like I said, an anchor institution, to be able to learn the proper way of, putting a bid together, putting a proposal together. Really, if you're going to head into that direction, and let's say you're a contractor remodeling kitchens, if you will, or, remodeling homes. But now you want to do, construction type work for a school district. Well, there's some, that's a big leap. And there's some fiduciary responsibility because you're dealing with public money. What does that entail? What labor and compliance issues? So training is important, and would highly encourage anyone who's interested in financing to go through the SBDC training to make yourself that much better. Thank you.
Thanks, Gustavo. So I'm going to kind of go around with some specific questions for each of you, just kind of understanding a few things in the small business landscape. And I'm going to start with you, Miriam. I've asked you this question in the past. There are what they call loan guarantees from like the Small Business Administration that Lucy talked about at the beginning. And there's also a similar program from the state of California. Can you describe what that is and how that helps a small business owner and you as a small business lender?
Absolutely, yes. So I think that there was a lot of confusion when COVID happened because there were SBA loans, and that at that point, because it was a state of emergency, SBA was, as a matter of fact, lending EIDL loans, right? But just to let you guys know, SBA only does that in a state of emergency. So normally they do not do that. Normally what they do is they serve as I could say an encourager to lenders to lend to small businesses that maybe they might not normally lend to. So, and they do that in the format of guaranteeing a certain percentage of our loans. So, for example, if you come to me and you say, Miriam, I need $100,000 because I want to start up a hair salon, then I might say, let's say you're a startup. And so without SBA's guarantee, I might say, no, that's far too risky. But with SBA's guarantee, I would lend you as a lender at CDC Small Business Finance our money. So we would be the one lending you the $100,000 that you're looking for per se. But then it would be an SBA loan in the form that SBA would guarantee a certain percentage of it. So throughout the years, they've gone anywhere from 75% to 90%. Well, they basically will guarantee your loan. So then let's say fast forward a year later, you come back to me and you're like, my business failed. I can't pay you back X, Y, and Z. Then SBA would come in and actually pay us back as a lender for that portion of the loan that we paid, right? So if we gave you $100,000, they would give us whatever they promised, right? From 75% to 90% of the loan that we lent you back to us as a lender. So it just serves as a motivator for us as a lender to take risk, maybe on people that we wouldn't normally take risk, knowing that if your business unfortunately fails, the majority of our loan will get paid back to us. Now, as a borrower, that doesn't mean, woohoo, the government SBA is paying for my business that failed. No, SBA will come after you for whatever they had to pay us back. And then we would come, and ask you for the portion that, and it was on our part, right? So that 10% or 15%, whatever it might be. So yeah, I think that explains what an SBA guarantee is. And the same thing happens with the state guarantees. So we also do loans, and many other lenders do the same thing with the state. So then the state comes in and guarantees a certain portion of the loan that the lender is lending to the borrower.
Fantastic. Thanks, Miriam. That's really helpful. And Janelle, I'm going to ask a kind of another question to you that's kind of more, again, kind of explanatory. There's different types of lending instruments that a small business uses, like a line of credit or a real estate loan or working capital. Can you describe what kinds of lending instruments are there for small businesses that are common within banks?
Sure. And the main thing I would say would be to make sure that you do get into the right loan. So the difference between, say, a line of credit and a term loan, a line of credit is revolving. So it's very similar to a credit card in that you can pay it down and use it back again. A line of credit is usually used for short-term financials. Say if you're short on payroll, you have some inventory you need to purchase, but you haven't gotten paid yet. There's something where you're going to pay it, and then in 6 months to a year, you're going to be able to pay it off. Usually the interest rate is variable. It's interest-only payments, but you don't want to get maxed out by using a line of credit, say for an equipment purchase, when you would term it out, because that would impact you negatively. A term loan is something where you know that you're going to pay it off in a certain term, like 5 years. So if you're going to buy say a piece of equipment, do some marketing campaigns, something you know that is going to be paid off in a term, and you're going to be paying principal and interest, and then it'll be paid in full. And then the last loan would be a real estate loan where it is collateralized by real property. That usually goes out 25 years, and the payment obviously is going to be substantial. So you do want to make sure that you do have, long enough term to cover the payment. But what I find is sometimes people get into the wrong loan or line. They think that they need a line when in fact they need a loan. And very similar to credit card debt and term debt on the personal side, it can impact you negatively if you max out a line of credit and you never pay it down. So the banks could, freeze the line or ask for repayment. So you just need to make sure that you're doing the right loan for the right need that you have.
Fantastic. So that's what's important, is there are these different terms, there's things that are thrown out there, but it's important to kind of understand what's going to fit for you at that time. And Luis, you all have kind of a unique model in that it's kind of a revenue-based lending model. And can you describe how that functions, which is different from those kind of traditional models or more commonly known models that Janelle explained?
Sure. We have, like you say, like unique, we don't pay too much attention in your numbers from the past, even though it matters to us. I mean, your model has to make sense to us, to the underwriters. But we pay more attention in the future revenues, which is more important in the entrepreneurs, because that's the attraction. For that attraction in your business, you need cash flow, and that's that's the bumpy road that the entrepreneurs always get into. It's like, don't ask me to have great numbers if I don't have the cash to make it happen. So we base or respond in the loan in your future revenues, and therefore, if you have a business-to-business contract even with the government, we love to have business that have a contract with the government. If you have a business to customer contracts as well, something that we can see that the revenue is coming, we will help you with the working capital. And and again, like you said, we don't ask for collateral, we don't ask for equity. So then we take pressure out of the equation, and we just set the payment in the percentage of your revenue, and it's no more than 5%. And that will give you the opportunity to you cash flow, you make the payment, and you're going to have the necessary cash flow for your operation expenses. So you're going to have a healthy business going on with our help as well. And another thing that you have to be very careful, and that's not what we do, but sometimes we got confused with, is the cash advance loans. Those and the entrepreneurs tend to go with the cash advance loans because they're very fast, and if you double click the cash advance loans, you're going to be paying on APRs, all the way from 100 to 200% APR in your loan. And that will kill your cash flow, and therefore they're growing all your business. So that's why my advice will be very far from cash advance and short-term loans, and concentrate for long-term with an easy monthly payments, and that will be my opinion.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, Luis, because those are critical. I mean, and I think all of the panelists, and we certainly agree that there are a lot of that predatory lending that's out there. These quick and easy ones, some people, a number of you have talked about, don't get in that cash crunch that's when they're going to be preying on you. And that's what's super important.
Very important. And, I just got but if you do have, sometimes the entrepreneur says, I need the cash right away. Well, if you prevent that and you have your financials in order, we can respond very fast. You just have to have your financials in order. And again, if it is not a good fit for us, maybe for a regular bank, for another financial entity, that once again, and I'm very repetitive about it. If you have your financials in order, it will be very easy ride for you. And that's what you need when you're an entrepreneur.
Fantastic. Thanks, Luis. And Gustavo, on kind of the similar theme, everyone talks about, as Luis has talked about others, the financials in order. What are a couple of those financial documents or reports that need to be put in order for any type of lending, including your lending?
Yeah, as I might have mentioned before, Danny, and I'll just go ahead and emphasize. I mean, we are probably all very similar in the sense when you do an application, some of maybe traditional still do it the hard copy paper. But you're going to need an application, whether it's done digitally or it's done by hand manually. That's the first part. But I think all of us are going to collect financial information like tax returns. Some may require them to be audited and some may not. But you want at least 2, maybe 3 years of tax returns. In some cases, you might have gone from a sole proprietor and now you've changed your infrastructure and now it's an LLC. You want to be able to demonstrate, as I think Janelle mentioned, you're a historical lender. You're looking at a track record of history. You want to make sure you can demonstrate 2 or 3 years. In some cases, some of us will do startups, but you have to demonstrate, if not a business plan, at least your tax returns to appreciate how your business has been going over a period of time. Your financials, what are you currently doing, whether it's 6 months or the last quarter. Some of us may ask for 90 days or 180 days. Make sure you have those ready and available. We are at Civic are looking for a procurement schedule. We'd like to see, do you have multiple contracts that are going to be awarded or have been awarded to you, and therefore you have a year's worth of work. And basically we're trying to see, how much money, how much capacity. I think all of us are checking about the capacity for repayment. So we look at the procurement schedule as, demonstrates, wow, if you're, laying down payment as your business and you've got multiple sites and the work is available for you for a year and a half, that demonstrates, obviously that you have the capacity for payment. Bank statements, how much money do you have in reserves? How much money can you count on? Whether it's 90 days or 180 days, how do you cover payroll? So all these are pretty important financial information. Some of us may collect personal financial statements. Obviously you're asking on behalf of the business, but maybe what does it look like on you personally? And of course, some of us will pull credit, and some of us will justify the lending based on the credit history or a FICO score. So these are some of the items that you should have. You should have ready some narratives of the purpose of your loan. What are you going to use it for? And then I think most of us, to some extent, might have a little different requests. But I think in a nutshell, I think many of us would ask for the forms that I just suggested.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gustavo. And I appreciate you all kind of getting in on kind of the nuts and bolts and the definition. So we'll land on at the end here with each of you for always my favorite part, which is a success case. So it's something, and you can feel free to anonymize it, but a business that you've recently helped with a lending or not so recently, however you want to particularly tell that. Why don't we go ahead and start with Luis?
Sure. Like you say, we cannot say names, but we recently, last year, we helped, this is a person that have a contract, a software contract with a government entity, and it was not willing, not ready to grow the business because he has a very high loan with a very big payments. So what we did is we helped them to organize the cash flow and help take over that loan with a very brand new loan with loan terms to go down the monthly payments. And by doing so, that business was healthy enough to not only continue with that business, but take another contract with another government entity. So now we have a happy customer right there.
Fantastic. And Janelle, what about you?
I know you like your tacos, but I have actually a Chinese food restaurant success story. But I have a client that I've been working with for a couple of years, and she has a Chinese restaurant. She had the opportunity to purchase the building that she's currently leasing. So I was able to assist her in getting financing for the building. which actually did a couple different things. It lowered her payment. The lease payment was significantly higher than the payment for the building, and also allowed her to, improve the value of her business and have, additional funds available for retirement once they do decide to retire. So it was really exciting. It was, a mom and pop restaurant where, the whole family worked in it, and it just, I liked the fact that I was able to help them, improve their situation. So it was really satisfying for me.
Fantastic. That is always fun. And Gustavo, what about you?
Yeah, I still have one of my favorite ones still is a husband and wife team of commercial electrical work. They were a sole proprietor about a year ago around the time of COVID, or 2 years ago around the time of COVID. They survived. They had a couple of deals that were still kind of small, and then they got themselves behind a very good prime, and they became sole proprietor into a corporation. And so they were fairly new as a corporation, and they requested some monies for us because they had procured over a short period of about maybe 6 months, $4 million worth of contracts. And so they had gone to some conventional lenders, some traditional lenders, and the business on paper was kind of new. But we kind of saw that it made sense. They were in the business anyways, doing small work, and now they've become incorporated. And so it made sense to us, and we were able to provide them a good amount of money, about $150,000, to be able to weather the storm of multiple anchor contracts, so that they could kind of carry the burden of payroll and buying materials while they're waiting to get paid 30, 60, 90 days, right? So it's a great story of how the deal made sense, even though it wasn't necessarily ready for a bank. I mean, banks are fantastic. I worked for a number of banks in my past life, so they fill a purpose. But in this particular scenario, they were still fairly new on paper, not on experience, a ton of experience. But they were able to come to us through one of the workshops at the SBDC, the one that we did in January, I think, Danny, that was over at Southwestern College. And so, it's these types of meetings make sense, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person at a workshop. We were introduced to this couple at one of the workshops, and, we made sense of their deal. And so now they're, procuring hand over fist. And so, they're able to roll over and use the money over and over and over again to carry the burden of their, while they get paid. And so it's one of our happier stories. Thank you, Dan.
Yes. Thanks, Gustavo. And we'll end with you, Miriam.
Okay, so one of my favorite stories, I might have shared it last time, but I'm still excited about it, is a client that came to me, I believe referred from a bank, and he started he actually started just on a corner in downtown San Diego with a little cart selling birria tacos. And that started to go really well. So then he rented out literally just gosh, I don't know, 400 square feet. I mean, just nothing, right? And he just had a window, and people would come up in the line, and he had a tiny, everybody was squished in there cooking, making their birria. And he has had that for, I think, a few years. And, what ended up happening is his food is so good that people have been in line all the way around the block, a full circle, to get his birria tacos. And so he's a first generation Hispanic man. And it's super exciting. He's had a lot of success. And so he was able to actually provide tenant improvements for himself out of the success of his business. He leased a really nice space to open a great restaurant, a much larger restaurant, to, grow his business. And we were able to provide him with working capital so he can hire all the employees he needs and some equipment for his kitchen that he needs. So very excited, just 150,000, but he's super happy, and it's just such a story of success of just the American dream, coming to a different country, working really hard, and being successful.
We need the address.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to tell the name, so I will text it interpersonally.
Yeah,
Need the address and a free meal for all of us.
So I appreciate you all getting on today. As you can see, folks are committed to small businesses and helping them. But the key is make sure you get the help you need. We're here at the Small Business Development Center. We're no cost. We're not a lender, so we have no obligation in terms of anything. To be able to provide that assistance to compile the documents, but also, as you can see, each of the lenders, they work together. They're more interested in your success. To make sure that you're not, and keep the relationship personal. And I think that's the closing piece of advice I would give, to avoid the types of traps Luis was talking about, is by knowing your lender. When you have a face, you have a name, it really, and a voice on the other end of the phone, and somebody you're able to talk to, they're caring about the success of your business, and making sure it's successful as well. So absolutely do that. We appreciate you all for being on today, and happy Friday, and stay cool.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, guys.
Quick question,
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
if I may ask. Can we get everyone's contact in an email, or how
Yeah,
do we? We'll
send Marisa will send a follow-up with the information along with the recording from the event.
Awesome, thank you.